Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is out in theaters this weekend. Is it a hit or is it a miss? Let's talk about it. Welcome back everyone to another Behind the Kernel review. Today we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I actually saw this last night and I honestly have mostly good things to say about it. There's really not much. I know there's a lot of people that didn't like it, especially critics, but we're going to get right into that in just a second. But if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing so you don't miss a single review, reaction, anything like that. Or if not, I'm just glad you're here. Before we start this review, just know there are major spoilers in here, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, save this and then come back later if you don't want the movie to be spoiled for you. So, let's dive in. So the plot of the movie kind of picks up a few months, I think, of where Afterlife kind of left off, where they go to New York, and I believe it's the summertime again. I believe it's the following summer, if I'm correct on that. And, you know, they already kind of have their own Ghostbusters team assembled, but it actually starts where Phoebe is now, like, unable to be on the Ghostbusters team because, like, the mayor doesn't want, like, her because she's not, like, old enough to be a Ghostbuster. He's just trying to get rid of the whole Ghostbusters program altogether. This is when they have this, like, guy come into this shop who sells this orb, and this orb, you know, holds this creature that's basically just trying to get free and kind of start a second ice age. I want to start off with the negative because there's very few negative things I have to say about this movie. I think the worst of it is that there just, at some points, there are too many plot lines. It felt like they were like cutting a little bit too fast in between some things, but overall, it's not too bad. One thing that really did work for me in this movie was Paul Rudd, especially because he kind of like works here as a surrogate father for Phoebe and Trevor. He just kind of like brings a charisma to the like, you know, like it always feels like he should have been part in some way. If they were ever to reboot it, he needs to be part of this Ghostbusters. Like, he just has that personality that really, you know, works well in the Ghostbusters franchise, in my opinion. You also get some really sweet moments, especially at the end of this movie. Phoebe ends up calling him Dad, and like he has like this whole thing, and there's a lot of other really funny jokes and bits that he does in this movie that just make it seem, you know, like a very fun Ghostbusters adventure, as well as comedic. The one thing I will say is that Trevor, played by Finn Wolfhard, doesn't really get much screen time in this movie, or I should say, he doesn't really have much to do with the plot of the movie. There's this whole little subplot that he's on, where like he's dealing with Slimer, but they kind of just like set his character aside. The only thing they really do talk about with him is like, oh, he's 18 now and he's an adult and like he wants to learn to, you know, drive. He just, it's a little bit of a weird thing, but they don't really give him much to do in terms of the story. One of my favorite things, probably my favorite thing about this movie, was the opening scene of this movie, where you have like the whole team and they're like chasing down this, like, it looks like a fish ghost or something. It's like in the sewers, and it's just like a very modern take on like what a day in their life is like, and they're like catching this ghost and it has like a drone with a trap on it. It's cool. It's a really cool scene, and it just feels like pure Ghostbusters fun. And that really set the tone for the rest of the movie for me, so I'm really glad they like did that as their opening scene. So not long after Phoebe ends up getting like out of the Ghostbuster because she can't work with them, she meets this ghost girl that like kind of has bad intentions to like let the big ghost of, or I shouldn't say ghost, but the monster of the series free. I forget what his name is, but he's like the frozen guy. He has the frozen powers and everything. But she kind of wants to like release him because he promises her that she'll see her family. And there's a whole little subplot where like Phoebe's like getting to know this ghost girl, and they like play chess and like all of these things, which eventually leads to Phoebe actually like for 2 minutes becoming a ghost. And this girl like somehow like manipulates her into like releasing the, I don't know, it's some weird thing that happens. Another really cool moment, this was kind of in the last movie, but it wasn't until the really end. This time you kind of get to see them throughout the whole movie, the old Ghostbusters team, and I thought that was really cool. Also, you get to learn about like Winston a lot more in this movie, and how like he set up this whole program with like engineers and stuff, and it's like almost like a museum slash exhibit where they can like study ghosts, and I don't know, it's kind of cool actually. I didn't talk much about him, but again, the main villain of this movie, he's a weird like, you know, ancient name as they always do in these movies. But he's a cool enough villain. They do give him some like lore, and Kamali Ali, he plays this like weird, like he's not like a firebender, but he kind of is actually. And it's like that his like someone deep in his family's ancestry was the one who put this guy in the orb in the first place. And so he's kind of like had it passed down through generations, and now at the end of the movie, he ends up like putting on this suit of armor, and he ends up fire blasting this dude with like his hands and stuff. And I just thought that was weird because we've never really had like, we have the supernatural element of Ghostbusters, but like this was like almost magical. The last thing I want to talk about is some of the other ghosts that were in this. More specifically, my favorite ghost in this movie was this little red like dot looking thing, and it was called the Possessor. I believe that's what it was called. And basically it's exactly what it sounds like. It can possess any inanimate object. It just makes for a lot of really funny scenes. Like, for example, I know at one point he possesses like a lion statue in front of the library. I think even at one point he possesses a trash bag to like, he captures the orb and like is trying to run with it. Or then he can even transform, like there's like a pizza laying on the counter. He transforms into a pizza. I think that makes for such a fun and interesting ghost. Easily probably my favorite like ghost character in the movie, which I just thought was really funny. But all in all, it's a good film. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on my Letterboxd account, which I'll probably have a link to in the description somewhere. But yeah, if you're kind of on the fence about seeing this, if you guys saw Afterlife and you're like, is this gonna be any good? I wouldn't say that I think I liked Afterlife just a smidge more, but this is still right up that alley. It's really not, they really don't dip in quality all that much. I think it's definitely a good sequel, and I would love to see them make a trilogy out of these new Ghostbuster films, just, for the new generation to enjoy. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more movie reviews and reactions coming your way soon. Until then, guys, peace.